Hello everybody, my name is Jashirwan, advisor of Ministry of Electricity. Today I'm gonna present my project about solution of lack of electricity in Kurdistan. That has been a real problem for almost a decade, and it also has been very frustrated for everyone. First of all, I want to talk about a little overview about the power production in Kurdistan. Especially after 2009, because after 2009 the power production got doubled. As you can see from this slide, in 2009 electricity production reached 809 megawatt, while in 2010 electricity production reached 1047 megawatt. So we can see that the gap between them is almost double. However, for now electricity production is 3000 megawatt, that is stated by the Ministry of Electricity. But at the same time, the demand is 7,000 megawatts, so you can see that the difference between them is almost 4,000 megawatts of demands that hasn't been fulfilled by the by the Ministry of Electricity, and it has caused a real problem in the region. For this research, I have mostly done secondary research, where I conducted information and data from other country and scale it to Kurdistan region, and also comparing it to it. I haven't done primary research, and mostly it's because of the budget that has been provided for me. It didn't allow me to do primary research where I do investigation by myself. I have mostly used articles from Google's, and also scholarly research such as IRENA, and I also have used library database where I have gained all the data and the table from the library databases. First of all, I want to talk about the factors that has caused the lack of electricity in Kurdistan. One factor is that after 2014, when ISIS came to Iraq and invaded the country, a lot of people came from other parts of Iraq to Kurdistan. So what happened is that the people demanded more electricity, but in Kurdistan region we couldn't fulfill all these demands. Therefore, what happened is that electricity shortage happened in the region. Another one is that the private sectors, they don't get enough natural sources supplies. For example, gasoline, fuels, coal. These are all factors, or they are all keys to produce electricity. Another also, they didn't get financial support from the government. So what happened is they didn't get enough financial support from the government, and they didn't have any motivation to bring new ideas and to solve this problem. Another one is that until now we're still using 132 kilovolt transmission lines. These transmission lines are very old and very weak, and they have almost 50% of losses of electricity. That's why there's has to be a replacement of this 132 kilovolt transmission lines. Another one is that our government we're still relying on old methods. We're still using old transmission lines. We're still using one way to produce, which is to produce electricity, which is basically just coal and fuels. And right now we lack these natural sources, and we also we're not using renewable energy sources, which is unfortunate, because right now Kurdistan is the best place to use renewable energy sources. I have listed several solutions for this problem. The first one is hydroelectricity. Even though we have one hydroelectricity power plant in Dukan, but unfortunately this is not enough. That's why we should add new hydroelectricity. One place to do that is again Dukan, because there are a lot of empty places in Dukan. That is a good place for installing new hydroelectricity, One, because and the reason why I've chose Dukan is because Dukan has a lot of cubic meter spaces and also a lot of elevation. Another one is solar panels. In Kurdistan, we have a very sunny conditions, and that is almost lasts for 4 months or 5 months, and that's a good solution to to this problem, and it will help the solar panel to produce more electricity. Another one is wind turbine. Again, we have a very good windy condition, and we have a lot of mountains. For example, like Asmar Mountains, all these mountains have a lot of windy condition, and it's a good place to install wind turbine there. Another one is the replacing 132 kilovolt transmission lines to either 440 kilovolt, 220 kilovolt, or 777 kilovolt. For this project, I've also listed several necessities. For example, the budget. The budget must be somewhere near $1 to $2 billion. This amount sounds a lot. However, if this project got done by the Minister of Electricity, it will have a long-term beneficial for everyone. Also, if we bring renewable energy sources to Kurdistan, we need a lot of labor and we need maintenance. Therefore, a budget must be considered for these two factors. Another one is the efficiency of each renewable source must remain same. For example, if wind turbine efficiency is 30%, it must stay 30% for the entire year without any changing. As for my conclusion about the project, I have listed them in almost order. For example, hydroelectricity has a good longevity, a long time to install, less maintenance, and high efficiency. But the problem is with hydroelectricity, they are expensive. However, with solar panels, they lack longevity. However, but they are good in terms of installing, and they are also very cheap, and they also produce a lot of efficiency. Wind turbine, on the other hand, also have a lot of efficiency, but they are very expensive and they need a lot of time to install. And for the transmission line, we can see that 132 kilovolt is almost has 50% losses, while 220 kilovolt is 16% losses, and 777 is 11% losses. However, 770 kilovolt transmission lines are very expensive, and there are only big countries like India, USA, or China needed. But for a country like us, Kurdistan, we only need the 220 kilovolt. That's why I recommend the 220 kilovolt instead of 777 kilovolt. My conclusion is also based on this decision matrix that I have done. First of all, I have 4 criteria for my problem. The first one is the efficiency of each renewable energy sources, the reliability of each of them, and the time for installing and the maintenance. And mostly, and the last one is the most important one, which is the cost. That's why the cost has scored the highest weight than the other one. And after this, the reliability, which is also the same as the cost, they both have scored the highest weight. And then after it, efficiency, and then the time, installation, and maintenance. The reason why cost and reliability has scored the highest is because they are really important for our renewable energy sources. Cost is really important for us when we consider these stuff, because all of them are expensive, and we have to consider cost before doing anything. Reliability is also another thing. We don't want to spend a lot of money on one sources, and then the reliability of these sources will become very low. Then it won't be that reliable enough to last for almost 10 years, and then we already spent all that money on that sources. Efficiency is also another key. the main reason we're bringing these sources to Kurdistan is to have a high efficiency. If they don't produce a lot of efficiency, then what's the point of bringing them? And then if you look at the sources, solar panel have scored the highest, and then the wind turbines, the transmission lines, and hydropower plants. The reason why solar panel have scored the highest is because they are very cheap and they are very efficient, and we don't need a lot of time to install them. And after it, wind turbine is the second, is because they are expensive, but they have a lot of high efficiency, and we need a lot of time to install, and it has less maintenance. However, hydropower plants scored the last one because they are very expensive. However, they have a lot of efficiency, and they can be installed in almost 5 years, which is a lot of time. That's why it scored the lowest one. Also, the maintenance for hydropower plants sometimes can be very, very high. The last one is the transmission line solution. Basically, these ones are scored the third one and the reason is that because the price of 220 kilovolt has been decreased lately, and it can produce to almost 680 megawatt of electricity, which is enough for our country to install and to fulfill our demands. My recommendation for this project is, first of all, installing solar panels outside Slimani and Erbil, because right now we have a lot of spaces for installing solar panels, and all these spaces are very they're very popular in terms of sunny condition. That's why solar panels are very important factor to install there. Also, we should invest in 440 kilovolt, 220 kilovolt, 757 kilovolt, but 220 kilovolt is enough. The other two are for big countries. Another one is, as I mentioned before, is to invest a new hydroelectricity project in Dukan, is because of the high elevation and a lot of empty cubic meters. Also, Azmar Mountain is very empty right now. We can fill it with wind turbines, because also Azmar Mountains are very rich in winds, and it can be very useful for wind turbines. So that's my recommendation, recommendation for this project, and thank you very much for listening.